Welcome to Crayola Creativity Week. Today's theme is STEAM, innovative ways to solve problems. And our special guest creator is Joelle Murray. Hi, Joelle. We're so pleased to have you with us today.
Hi, so nice to be here today.
So let's get started. Please introduce yourself and tell students what creativity means to you.
My name is Joelle Murray, and I am the illustrator for Libby Loves Science. And creativity is taking aspects of your unique perspective and using them to shape the world around you, be it through art, literature, music, or even science.
As an artist, you work across lots of different art forms. Can you tell us about your love of design, illustration, animation, and dance?
Well, I grew up watching a lot of animated movies and cartoons and playing a lot of video games, which they all inspired me to keep drawing. And because I knew I wanted to make them someday. So as a kid, I loved dance, and I also explored that as I got older and found that it helped me learn more about movement and how the body works and flow, which I now translate into my artwork.
Now we'd like to see your creativity come alive in a book you illustrated. Joelle, please read Libby Loves Science.
So this is the book I illustrated, Libby Loves Science. Let's get into the story. Libby loved science. She loved mixing, pouring, measuring, and stirring. Whipping up ingredients and making delicious things to eat was one of Libby's favorite ways to experiment. Rainbow pancakes taste way better than plain ones, she told her family, and sometimes it was true. At school, Libby's science teacher, Mr. Darwin, taught the class about chemistry. Libby loved chemistry because it is all about mixing, pouring, measuring, and stirring. Not all chemical reactions occur at the same rate, said Mr. Darwin. Uh-oh, said Libby. Looks like ours reacted too much. Remember, your measurements need to be precise, said Mr. Darwin. But it's okay, mistakes can lead to discoveries. And sometimes making mistakes was way more fun than cleaning up. One day, Mr. Darwin made an important announcement. We are in charge of the science booth at our school's fall festival, he said. Everyone was excited. The fall festival was fun, and Libby liked the science booth the best. Yay! We will have the best booth ever, said Libby. This year, the booth that gets the most visitors and collects the most tickets wins an ice cream party, said Mr. Darwin. We need volunteers to run our booth. Libby, Finn, and Rosa jumped up from their desks. We'll do it, said Libby. Libby, Finn, and Rosa met at Libby's house after school. We absolutely need to win, said Libby. Just imagine, an ice cream party. I love ice cream, said Rosa. Competing with the bouncy house won't be easy, said Finn. I think we can do really fun experiments that everyone will want to try, said Libby. Cool, we can decorate the booth too, said Rosa. I have tons of art supplies, said Finn. We can make our booth really stand out. Libby, Finn, and Rosa searched for fun experiments. They made a list of possibilities and voted for their 3 favorites. Finn decided to make giant bubbles. Rosa wanted to mix fluffy slime, and Libby chose to launch a rocket. I can't wait for the festival, she said. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. Libby, Finn, and Rosa got there early to help Mr. Darwin set up the science booth. Finn hauled in hula hoops, dish soap, corn syrup, and a kiddie pool. Rosa carried a basket of shaving cream, glue, saline solution, and glitter. Libby brought baking soda, vinegar, and empty water bottles. They decorated the booth with posters, signs, and science stuff. When the festival opened, the cotton candy booth was swamped right away. The dunk tank was a huge hit. The face painting team was the one to beat. The festival was crowded with friends and families, and teachers having fun. No one's coming to our booth, said Finn. Maybe everyone thinks science is boring, said Rosa. Science is never boring, Libby said. We just need to show them chemistry is fun. I know, said Finn. Let's blow some giant bubbles. Bigger the better, said Rosa. Finn filled the kiddie pool with water while Rosa mixed in the soap. The secret ingredient is corn syrup, Libby said. Yep, it makes the bubbles a bajillion times stronger, said Finn. Next, let's make some slime, said Rosa to the small crowd that had gathered to make bubbles. Extra glitter equals extra sparkle, added Finn. It's important to add the saline just a little bit at a time, said Libby. That's what makes it extra squishy, said Rosa. Now for the grand finale, said Rosa. Our rocket will be out of this world, said Finn. We will win for sure. We use extra baking soda, the rocket might go even higher, said Libby. Science is a blast, said Rosa. When Libby added in the baking soda, the liquid started to bubble. When the bottle filled up, the rocket zoomed high into the air. Whoosh! Unfortunately, it sprayed liquid everywhere. It sprayed all over the kids waiting in line. It sprayed way more than Libby predicted. Everyone got soaking wet and ran away. The face painting booth still has a huge line, said Finn. I don't think we have enough tickets. I'm sorry, said Libby. I thought the rocket would be awesome. At least we got a big reaction, said Rosa. The next day, Principal Neal announced the winner of the Fall Festival Booth Contest. The ice cream party goes to the Art Club, she said. Their face painting booth won by a landslide. Everyone cheered. Even Libby, who felt she'd let her science class down. Mr. Darwin called Libby, Finn, and Rosa to his desk. You three did a great job on the booth, he said. But we didn't win the ice cream party, mumbled Libby. That doesn't mean we can't celebrate how hard you tried, Mr. Darwin said. Any ideas? Maybe we can have our own party, Rosa said. What kind of party? Finn asked. An ice cream party. And we can make our own ice cream. Libby jumped up. And I know exactly what we need. Libby wrote a list of ingredients on the board. Rosa borrowed sugar from the teacher's lounge. Finn ran to the cafeteria for ice, vanilla, and milk. Mr. Darwin grabbed rock salt and freezer bags from the supply closet. Libby walked the class through the steps in the recipe. She even added lots of colors because rainbow ice cream usually tastes better than plain. This is delicious, said Finn. Sometimes the best reactions aren't always the first reaction, Mr. Darwin said. Because ice cream is cool, said Rosa. Yeah, said Libby, and science is cool too. And that is the end.
Illustrating this energy-packed book must have been fun. Thanks for sharing it with us. How did the main messages of this book inspire your illustrations?
It inspired me because I also love science a lot, and science was actually another career that I thought about going into. So it was really fun to use my art skills to also illustrate something else that I love.
How did you decide ways to visually show Libby's personality and her passion for science?
Usually when I read a story, I can see the action and the emotions of the characters in my head. So I just tried my best to convey those in the illustrations. And I also incorporated how I might be feeling if I was in Libby's shoes. And there was also a bit of inspiration from my two little nieces who are also two little girls who love science. So definitely took inspiration from them as well.
How can learning from mistakes turn an oops moment into a success next time around?
Learning from mistakes is definitely a part of the creative process. Sometimes things might not turn out the way you'd like or how you expect, but you can take what you learn from that experience and apply it to the next time around and maybe make something better. And sometimes mistakes can even turn into something better than you imagined in the first place. So that's why I think it's always important to not be afraid to try new things.
Creativity is so important to every STEAM career. Why do scientists, technology experts, engineers, artists, and mathematicians all need to use creative thinking to do their jobs?
So when people hear the word creative, they usually think about art and visual aspects of art. We even see in Libby Loves Science that the art team wins the Fall Festival Booth Competition. But Libby is actually very creative herself, even without that aspect, because she can identify a problem and then use her creative thinking skills to come up with a way to solve it. And so here we see that creativity comes in many different forms, not just visually.
Why does collaboration and teamwork matter in STEAM careers?
I think that when different people come together from different backgrounds, each with their own unique way of looking at things, the process of working together becomes much more expansive because you have all these different ideas coming in from different people in different directions. And this can help each other or the entire group innovate better. And because maybe someone has an idea that another person may not have necessarily thought of initially, and they can bounce that idea off that person. And then that person will be like, oh, actually, that makes me think of this. Let's work that into this idea that you had, which is the start of the creative process in that sense. So definitely being in a group can help with the creative process in general.
You show a lot of different emotions that Libby and her team feel throughout the book. Why are emotions such an important part of learning, writing, and illustrating?
So throughout Libby Loves Science, we see the characters going through an array of emotions, starting with excitement for the fall festival in the beginning and their enthusiasm for decorating their booth and coming up with all the projects, to fear when they're uncertain if their booth is doing well because they see the other booths doing well. And at the very end, a little bit of disappointment because they didn't win. But once Libby comes up with their new idea to celebrate how hard they tried, there is a lot of happiness there. So it just goes to show emotions can be roller coasters. But as we see with Libby, there is a way to come out in the end better than how it was to start.
Now it's time to get creative. Can you show us how to sketch an ice cream recipe? When we illustrate recipes, that reminds us how easy it is to make something like ice cream or bubbles.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to draw an ice cream cone, as we see in Libby Loves Science. So I'm going to start with this watercolor pen. I'm going to start with the cone. Start with a nice V shape. And we're going to color that in. Now I'm going to use confetti crayon. You can use whatever colors you like for your flavors of your ice cream. This is going to be a triple scoop cone. So I'm going to start with one scoop, almost like a half circle-y shape. Then at the bottom, we're going to do some scallops, like that. Now I'm going to use the glitter crayon for the chocolate syrup. So I think my next scoop is going to be strawberry flavored. So I'm going to use a pink confetti crayon. Remember to leave room at the top for the syrup. Or you can color it all the way in if you just want one scoop to have syrup. But like I said, I have a sweet tooth, so I'm going to go ahead and leave room for a lot. All right, back to this chocolate color. Some squiggly lines for the bottom of the syrup. The very third scoop. I'm going to make this one extra chocolatey. Now I have some tricks to make the chocolate syrup on the chocolate scoop a little more visible. So I'm going to color in the whole thing brown. Then I'm going to come in with this black color. And I'm going to lightly outline the chocolate syrup for this one, just so I can see it a little bit better. All right, so this is our base. Now we can go in and add a few more details. So I'm going to go back to the cone, and I'm going to use these Crayola Take Note pins. They're nice and small so we can get the small details in. So ice cream cones have that square pattern. So to do that, we're going to do a cross-hatch technique. Do some diagonal lines like this onto your cone. And sprinkles you can do in any shape you want, actually. I like the long, skinny ones. So all you have to do is just do some short little lines like this, going in different directions on top of the syrup. There's one final touch that I would like to add, and that is the cherry on top. So I think I'm gonna go in with this red one. I'm gonna add it right here. The cherry is almost a heart shape. The little rounded bottom. Okay. And then I'll go back in with this green pin to do the stem, which I like to give it a nice curly shape. And I think that will do the trick. So here's your ice cream.
Now please show us how to draw super huge bubbles that kids can make when they follow the recipe in the book.
And next I'm going to take the Crayola metallic marker, silver, and we're going to draw a few bubbles. So let's start with a larger one at the top here. So try to draw as best a circle as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Bubbles aren't necessarily perfectly circular, so that's fine. And then just for some variation, slightly smaller one down here, and then maybe a couple smaller ones down here. Then maybe one smaller one in the corner, like that. Okay, so now we have our base shape. Probably going to add a bit more colors than you would have initially thought. And I'm going to go around the edge of the silver. Just a little bit right here. Do that for all the circles. It's very subtle, but in the end, it will make a huge difference. Okay. Now take the darker blue and sort of go just little tiny curved shapes. The glitter crayons will help because the glitter will act as the iridescence we see in bubbles. So this crayon has a lot of glitter. Now, if you can, make sure you leave a small circle up here, uncolored, because that is where we are going to have the light speck. And honestly, you can put these little splotches of color anywhere you like. Everyone's bubbles are going to be different, just like real life bubbles. None are exactly the same. Now to make the bubbles pop a little bit more, I'm going to take some a white color pencil and a white crayon. I'll start with the crayon first. And when the light hits the bubble, you can always see the highlight, which is the brightest part of the bubble. So I'm going to make that white. And one more color I would like to add is this green, just a teeny bit, anywhere that you'd like. And lastly, I'm going to take this other metallic pin, cobalt blue, and I'm going to lightly add a little bit of lines for the shadow, just around the bottom like this. And there you have it. Nice, shiny bubbles.
That was great, Joelle. Thank you for sharing the book and art inspiration. And thank you to all the kids in schools and homes across the country for joining us today. Teachers and parents, be sure to check out more exciting Creativity Week ideas at Crayola.com/creativityweek. And share your kids' sketches so others can see and be inspired by their creative work.